Hello, I'm Nick Park from Evangelical Alliance Ireland, and this is our weekly message. It's Friday, but Sunday's coming. We're now several weeks into the What's the Story outreach campaign, a national campaign to share Jesus with as many people as possible. And this coming week, we are talking about, and this weekend, we're talking about having a purpose. What is it? What is my purpose? Is there a purpose to my life? And today we're just going to use the words of my good friend Gavin Rothwell. Gavin has been part of the Christian Answers series, where we lay a reasoned foundation for sharing the stories of people, including finding purpose in their lives. And so please listen as Gavin shares with us now.
So in this video, I want us to explore what the biblical perspective on purpose is, and how this has influenced Christians and the church at large to make an impact in lots of different areas in our society and our world, such as law, justice, the environment, and education. So if you were going to design a society in which human beings would truly flourish, I think what will be of vital importance will be knowing what humans are made for, what their purpose is. The Christian story in particular places high value on certain attributes of human beings. And it's these attributes that give us a clear and helpful indication as to what our purpose is, what meaning we can find from ourselves and from our actions. Some of these truths about human beings might in the abstract seem a little unusual or strange, but when you take them and understand them in tandem with lived human experience, they actually make surprisingly good sense. And it is these attributes or values that are part of the human experience that Christians have used for 2 millennia now to act upon and use as a solid basis for certain ways in which they've influenced and impacted our world. I'd like to discuss 3 of these truths about humans now. So the first fundamental truth about human beings that Christians believe is that there's something special or distinct about humans in comparison to all other parts of the living world. Now, the language Christians use to describe this phenomenon is that human beings are made in the image of God. But what this really means is that there's something distinct or special about humans that causes them to reflect some of the goodness, truth, and beauty of God. Now, the implications of this truth about humans are actually massive. It means that your capacity, your ability, your rationality, what you can do, what your position is, actually have no bearing upon how much value or worth you have as a human being. Your value and worth is innate because you are made in the image of God, in His likeness. Now, this concept of being made in the image of God in more recent times has been described as the dignity of all people, that each person has an innate worth or value because they possess inherent dignity, which stems from the fact that they are made in the image of God. And it is this concept of dignity that gives rise to really important concepts such as universal human rights. Governments and those in authority should not be able to treat people with disrespect or use violence against you, because each person has an inherent worth and dignity. And it is from the concept that Christians are made in the image of God that we get human dignity. So the second fundamental truth that Christians believe about humanity is that we are made for relationships. In particular, Christians believe that there are 3 relationships in which humanity is designed for. Firstly, between humans and God. Secondly, between humans and each other. And thirdly, between humans and what I'd call the non-human creation. And the fact that human beings are made for relationship is perhaps best reflected in the fact that in the Christian story, God himself comes into our world as Jesus Christ because he wants to restore humanity's relationship with him. So if humans were truly designed for these 3 kinds of relationship, it would provide a solid basis for acting in certain ways. Firstly, the relationship between God and man. Well, we have Jesus Christ to act as the mediator between humans and God. Secondly, in relation to relationships with humans and other humans, that provides a solid basis for concepts such as fairness, social justice, and equality. And thirdly, the idea that humans are supposed to be in relationship with the non-human creation, if you like, well, that provides a solid basis for important concepts such as environmental justice or the stewardship of the environment. So the third fundamental purpose of humans, as understood by Christians, is that work is an important part of life. God gave us work as something positive and encouraging to do, provided, of course, that it's in a framework of rest and there's no coercion or abuse involved. Christians know from the Bible that God purposed the very first people on earth to work. And so we now know that work is not something that is a bugbear or toil to do, but it can be something to be enjoyed in its proper context. So these 3 simple but profound truths have played a really important place in how our society has developed over the past couple of millennia. They provide an important basis for Christian women and men to act in certain ways that have had a profound impact upon our world. Let me give you a couple of examples now. The need to promote and respect the dignity of all people manifested itself in a remarkable way from the very earliest Christians after the death and resurrection of Jesus in the 1st century. The Roman society in which those first Christians were based could not believe that Christians cared for the sick, weak, and marginalised people from not only their own community, but from those outside their community in the wider Roman society at large. This demonstrated that Christians valued people not because they were part of a particular group or what they were capable of, but because they respected the dignity and worth of those people in and of themselves. The need to ensure and promote healthy relationships between humans and each other has spurred lots of Christians on to create social harmony and social justice in the societies in which they lived. For example, it was a Japanese Christian who led the campaign to ensure universal suffrage, as in the universal right to vote for men and women in Japan. And it was British Christian Lord Shaftesbury who had a profound impact on improving the social and physical conditions for those with mental and physical disabilities in 19th century Britain, and for improving the lives of children who were forced to work in mines at that time. And in relation to the God-given concept of work as an important aspect that human beings can engage with, it was this concept that led Lebanese philosopher Charles Malik to be the leading figure who was involved with drafting the Universal Declaration of Human Rights in 1948. So the biblical perspective on purpose, as exemplified by those simple truths such as the inherent dignity of all people, the fact that human beings are made to be in relationship with others, and the idea of work being a God-given gift, has led countless Christians to make a profound impact on our world and those living in it.
Well, thank you to Gavin, and I just pray that that will give all of us confidence to share with other people the purpose that God has for our lives, and that we can help people to discover the purpose that God has for their life. You know, we're moving forward, we're reaching out, we're reaching upward. It might be Friday, but Sunday's coming.